Hey, the Hot Seat Radio Show, Donovan Siddiq, and my partner in crime, Sean Fortine. We are missing Daryl Terrell, but he will be back after he is done doing what he is doing. We are going to talk about what's going on in the city of Moreno Valley. You guys, thank you guys for the compliments and the well wishes, and for also my Edo haters for trying to block what we do on YouTube. But I found a way to make sure our videos get out and information gets out. So, Sean, it's been a great week. Everything's coming up. What is going on in the city of Moreno Valley that you want to talk about?
Well, I've been able to do this for a couple weeks, but the one thing that's been on my mind is the mayor's plan to pay the homeless to clean up just do odd jobs around the city.
Now, okay, and I read a little bit about that. What is his plan in general? He's going to enslave the people to work.
Something like that. He was going to pay him I don't know how much, like $7.50, $10, whatever. It would have to be something around minimum wage, likely. I'm not sure how he could get around that, but anyways, yeah, give them some money for doing odd jobs around the city, and well, the thing is that there would be no requirement to have any commitment to show up regularly or have any type of regular responsibilities. Or basically just show up and
just give them some money. Here you go.
Show up and help out a little and get some cash. And then the thing is that it's all going to go to whatever their fix is.
Yeah, their drug habits.
Yeah. So if they want, so it's basically he's basically going to be Mayor Gutierrez. Basically going to be like the crackhead Candyman, because he's just going to go and that's basically all they're going to do is they're going to use this money to go buy drugs. It's like Gutierrez might as well just hand out the crack and the meth and the heroin and stuff himself.
Right, but my question with that is, where is he going to get the money to do this?
I don't know.
And where does he get the justification to do it?
I don't know, but
you just can't take a bunch of money and just say, here's $10, here's this. How's the structure for
I don't know. It doesn't seem to be thought out. It seems to be more like something
he just threw out there to make himself look good.
Yeah, something he wanted to look good, sound good, maybe have a couple photo ops, but
because I don't see how that's going to pass. How can you take tax dollars and give it away?
I don't know, but the thing is that if, let's say this does work, he's going to attract all the other crackheads and
San
junkies and
Bernardino.
whatnot. They're all going to come here looking for a few bucks for their fix. And when there's a demand for drugs, that's going to bring in the dealers,
right.
And that's just going to be a vicious cycle of crime.
And then the liability the city would be placed in because these people would be employees of the city.
Yes, they'd be employees of the city, and they'd frequently be high on drugs or coming down from it, or just have their heads might be fried from it, whatever. Basically, this is not something that any sane business practice would accept liability for. There's a reason why nobody wants drug addicts on their payroll.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But like we said in the podcast before, this is a rebroadcast. And we've said this before in the previous podcast. I firmly believe that the mayor, Criminal Baca, Child Creveris, they are intentionally doing this to bring the city down. I mean, because then when you bring the city down and everybody leaves out of here, the land and the area is worth nothing. And the developer come in and just say, hey, there ain't nothing here anyway, so let's just go ahead and bulldoze this.
Yeah, if Mayor Gutierrez is serious about helping the homeless, the best thing he can do is hand it over to people that know what they're doing and just butt out. We have Daryl Terrell working with the County Behavioral Health Commission. Right. They're working to get services into Moreno Valley, and I'm not aware of any contact between the two. I talked to Daryl a lot. I've met with the County Behavioral Health Commission myself. There is not any meaningful contact between the City Council and the county services to get any meaningful or to get any services through the county, when the county is working really hard to step up their game with what they have to work with.
Right, and right now the county's going through I believe they're in a labor dispute with the SEIU, 720 won, the local SEIU. They went on strike.
Yeah, well, it's SEIU, so I haven't really paid much attention to it.
So big labor problem with that's going on there. Real quick, I didn't bring it up in the last podcast, but Jose Medina, he's the assembly member in this area. He recently enacted legislation that would close the loophole to CEQA, to where developers cannot come in here and do a referendum and bypass CEQA, which basically is just an environmental report on health costs, to and from and to. And it passed the Assembly, and it also passed the California State Senate. It is now on its way to Governor Moonbeam's desk for signature, and I think that is a good thing. And I've been very, very hard on Mr. Medina, and for that, I can say I'm going to applaud him and continue to hold him accountable. But it seems like the Edoites have a problem with what Mr. Medina has done.
Yes, I've noticed that, and it's rather odd because the World Logistics Center, as it is written now, would not be subject to the new laws.
Right. They wouldn't be grandfathered. They wouldn't go back and say, okay, you got to do this again. They've already passed, so that's not the issue.
Yes. So
what's up their ass?
Yeah. What has he got planned next that he would need to go through all the environmental studies over again? Why would he need to worry about the new environmental laws if his project that he's planning to build is
Going to happen?
If it's going to happen. I mean, I hate bashing the World Logistics Center.
I'm not bashing it. I just don't think it's going to be built.
I know, but still, I hate having to talk about this in the mayor every time we start. It seems like that's always the first thing that.
And that's because they keep putting and doing dumb stuff to bring that issue up.
Yeah, and there's so much else we could be doing.
Concentrating on other areas to do what we need to do.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not happening in our city as long as this is.
But you do bring up a good point. Why is he so worried? I mean, didn't he and the mayor also go up to Sacramento to advocate to not do this?
I didn't see anything about him going up, but I've heard that he was there.
Okay, right. So that tells me either something else is going on, or maybe because of CEQA and the land that he owns, which he doesn't plan to build a WLC, it's going to impact any future people who might want to rent that land or whatever and build on that land.
That would make sense if he's just planning to sell it off.
So that's what I think it is, because like I said, I'm not against the WLC. I've never been against the WLC. I'm against where it's located. And if you're going to do it right. I don't know why you would want to circumvent CEQA, because if it's a health issue, it's a health issue. I mean, if it's a hazard for our health, no job is worth being killed for. So I just don't think it's going to be built. And for him and the Edoites to get a wild hair up their asses about something that shouldn't affect their project, what's the problem?
I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Personally, I wish that Edo would just hurry up and sell it off, or maybe do a land swap or something. Just even if you just had land to build industrial park someplace where the infrastructure can handle it, that would be a major step forward. But he won't do that. He insists on building this project in a place where there's no practical way to get traffic through there, and there's no utilities. There's really nothing there to support that warehouse where it's at. And
25 years out, I don't think there ever will be.
At this rate, there won't. So that's what I'm saying. Even if you just got a land swap and got some other land near a freeway or something, a major freeway to build on, I mean, I suppose that would be better, and it would at least it would help hurry up and get him out of here, so we could actually do something useful with the city.
And that brings up another subject. He's got his program done. He's got his thing passed. Just take your money and go, Edo. The problem is, I don't understand why he's sticking around. But speaking of local politics in Edo and all these other things, we have elections coming up. Corey Jackson has appeared, and he has thrown his hat into the ring. Corey's a good friend of ours, and I have no problem with Corey. He's mostly in your district. He lost by 7 votes last time. And the Edoites have already started a smear campaign on Mr. Jackson, and they're trying to correlate money that Mr. Jackson's nonprofit gets and the school board. Now, I don't know why that is such a big deal. Of course, I don't like the way backyard deals are done, but they're done all the time.
They see that's something else. This is another good point. They seem to be drawing a lot of attention to the school district lately, and I noticed that came up when they were talking to Aja Smith about her campaign. They were trying to put a lot of shine the spotlight on the school board.
I mean, but what is
I don't even understand why they'd want to shine the spotlight on the school board that way when their man Evan Morgan is
right there.
Yeah.
And once again, piece of shit Evan Morgan, he's right there, so they know what's actually happening on that school board. But to tie in Mr. Jackson's altered contract, that's done all the time. I mean, Edo does it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he goes to the city hall and he amends his contracts. I mean, he isn't even paying his legal fees.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
They want to smear Corey Jackson.
And do distraction.
There's things I'm not sure about with Corey Jackson, but this doesn't sound like the scandal they're looking for.
Right. Well, but I would also say that because Mr. Jackson has a significant power base, and when I mean power base is he can draw on people like Cheryl Brown, who got $3 million to give him donations. Yeah. That means he's a person that Edo cannot control or intimidate. So, by starting early and trying to make disclarities of how he does transactions with the school board, this is what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to get those parents who have children in the school district who are more focused on what's going on, have them alarmed. Because the video was sent to me that I believe Leo is doing, Leo is also a Highland Fairview employee, as we all know. And he's putting it out there. And, again, Leo, I want to thank you again because imitation is the greatest form of flattery. I'm glad you're out there trying to put your message out like we do, and good luck to you, but you got to step it up a little bit more. And it'd be nice to see you on camera saying what you're saying and backing it up with facts. You're just throwing some bullshit documents out. How did you get documents and we didn't? Unless Evan Moron is giving you documents,
that would
he's
be
not
a Brown
supposed
Act
to.
violation.
And that would be a Brown Act violation. So that brings up a very, very good question.
So I don't see. I think the school district. I think there's room for improvement, but I don't see any justification for the way that the Highland Fairview supporters are bashing the school district.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
It seems to me more like a distraction rather than
right. Or just putting that doubt in person's head early enough to where it looks like Mr. Jackson is doing something Edo-ish. I got to call it Edo-ish, not bad, Edo-ish. So it's just funny how they do it. It's outrageous when other people do it, but when they do it, there's no problem. Also, Carla Thornton, she is going to be running in the race. She threw her hat in the race. District 2. What are your thoughts on Miss Thornton, if you heard anything about her?
Not a whole lot yet. I do plan on investigating her thoroughly.
From what I do know, she's an Air Force veteran, so that's a plus. I've talked to her, in briefing and, kind of just sending her messages and encouragement and stuff like that. Corey's a good friend of mine, but I am a firm believer, unfortunately. Corey, I wish you the best of luck. I really do, seriously. But I just think we need to move on from, the Corey Jacksons, the LaDonna Jimsons, the Donovan Sadiqs. We need new people, new blood. And the reason I'm saying this against Corey, and it's not really against him, it's just a criticism, is you ran a good campaign, you lost by 7 votes, supposedly. And Belle's doing something. I don't know what she's doing. Oh, she's messing with the bug. And your issues don't stop because you lost the race. And this is what I'm saying. 4 years have passed. We hadn't heard a word from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's election time. Here I am. Vote for me. And that's our problems in our politics here in Moreno Valley. We have these people who are not tested, tried and true. In regards to Aja Smith, we were in the WLC wars. We were getting those petitions in that summer. We did a whole summer together. So I could witness for a fact that she was out there knocking on doors and getting petitions signed.
That's how I met her, was out on the street corner.
On the street corners. I'm not saying Corey doesn't do it because he was walking when he was in his race, but then after he lost the race or conceded the race, I don't even think he lost personally. He conceded the race. 4 years passed.
The thing I've always wondered about that is that at 7 votes, I'd want to double check the.
I would want to double check it, and I would have borrowed the money to get it done. I don't care how I would have got it done because it ain't like Corey didn't have the money, or if he didn't have the money, he couldn't have gotten the money from a supporter or a person. So. My point with Mr. Jackson is, and I'm not going to bash him or anything. Like I said, I think he's a good candidate. I hope he runs a really good race. God bless you. But the fact of the matter is, with all these issues with the WLC and the Itoites and Ito, the fight continued, and you disappeared. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's been in the military will tell you that is somebody I don't want to be in a foxhole with, because that basically tells me, not that you gave up, but perception is everything. Yeah. I didn't see you out there. So Miss Thornton, she's an Air Force veteran. She's a woman, very highly intelligent. I'm doing my homework on her. She's, from what I'm hearing, she's really got some really great people vouching for her currently, but I've got to see it for myself. And I've talked to her, and I'm going to say right now, it looks pretty good that she got in there early enough to say that. But again, we have to not let too many candidates get in the race and split the vote, because that's what Ito wants to do. We need to get behind one consensus candidate.
Yeah, I hope that Jackson and Thornton and anyone else that's thinking of running gets together and has a long talk with each other.
Right. Because are you in it for the city or in it for yourself? And that's the difference. Mm-hmm. People have been talking to me about Denise Fleming, and they're telling me, hey, you got to work it out. No, I will never work it out with Denise Fleming. So I wish people would stop bringing her up. I think she has an ethics problem. I'm not saying she's not qualified. She's highly qualified to do anything she wants to do in life. But when you talk to the woman, that'll sell it for you too, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Denise Fleming is for Denise Fleming. She is not for the city. Once again, she lost her race. Where has she been?
Don't know. Quite frankly, don't really care.
Exactly. LaDonna Jimson, I can vouch for LaDonna. She's done it. She continues to do stuff behind the scenes, and I applaud her for that. And I've talked to LaDonna Jimson. Whatever. I lost my race twice. I'm still here, still putting the message out, doing what I can do. So that's a big thing with that. As for mayor, have you heard of any thing with maybe Gutierrez running again? Possibly.
Oh, he probably will, unless Ito gets tired of him.
What about Gaiba? I haven't heard anything with Gaiba.
I talked to him afterwards, after one of those big disputes. He said that he was closing his campaign accounts.
Oh, was he? Okay, so he's looks like he's pretty much done.
Yeah, I don't see how he could. I mean, he's not in favor with
Ito.
He's not in favor. He's still not in favor with those opposed to the project. I mean, he doesn't have a support base anymore. Right.
Well, let that be a very, very cautionary tale. When you receive money from these donors, okay, there's strings attached to that money. And I'm not saying what Mr. Gaiba, me and him are good friends and everything, what he was supposed to do or whatever, but the minute he tried to be independent of Ito, problems prevailed, and that's a cautionary tale. Be careful of these donors and where you get your money at. Radine Ayers is still lurking around, trying to be a shot caller. And
if she is, she's not doing a very good job at it.
Well, 30 years of losing, I guess that's something to feel accomplished about. I mean, yeah, you put LaDonna in there, but again, LaDonna was bounced out very quickly as quickly as she got in there.
And what's the deal with Baker what's his deal with him letting rating heirs into his campaign?
I didn't hear that. So rating? I thought Irma Flores ran his campaign.
I don't know who's running it, but I'm just saying he's let rating heirs into his campaign meetings.
Oh, I couldn't.
It might even be at her house. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm not even sure with that.
So just for anyone listening, I don't know all the facts on that. I'm just asking Donovan if he has any details.
No, I haven't heard.
Something we'll have to follow up on.
Yeah, we'll have to follow that up. I've been dealing with some medical issues lately, so that's why I've been laying a low profile. I've been following this big thing in the news about that girl that was put in the freezer in Chicago, which is a very, very sad crime. And I thank you guys for liking the video. And not necessarily liking it, but giving me a thumbs up on it, because I think that's a very, very tragic tale. If you have a daughter out there, you really have to sit your daughters down and their friends, whatever you need to do. These parents need to stop being friends with their children and be parents. And tell them this is a cautionary tale, because, again, what is a 19-year-old girl doing in a hotel room? These 19-year-old girls with grown men that are thugs, however you want to classify them, and she ends up in a freezer in Chicago. And what makes it horrific is the fact that she was found in a freezer at 19 years old. It's just very tragic with that. And I see girls running around here all the time at the mall or whatever, dressed a certain way, and you could be butt naked. That has nothing to do with how you're dressed, but how you conduct yourself and what you attract is what's going to pretty much tell you what could possibly happen to you. And your friends are not usually your friends. I know a lot of people, but that doesn't mean they're my friends.
I'm not so sure it's a matter of, in most cases, unless you're like wearing gang colors or something, I don't think it's necessarily such a matter of how you dress as the company you keep.
The company you keep, right.
Most people that get murdered, they're either involved in something illegal or they're keeping company with people that are doing something illegal.
And they were smoking weed and drinking in this hotel room. So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, if you're out late doing that stuff in Chicago, that's a great
South side of Chicago, yeah, exactly. So please, if you guys haven't heard that story, please look it up. The video is here. You can find it on YouTube. If you have daughters, nieces, whatever, please have them look at this video and be very cautionary. This girl, in my opinion, was given up by her quote friends for $200, and something happened and nobody knows anything, supposedly. But we'll stay on top of that story as well. As far as Riverside and Jose Medina, the 890 with the CEQA, I applaud that. Again, I think that's a great thing. If that's, it's late in coming, but even he realized there's a problem with our air and the future of what's going to happen here in Moreno Valley. We're going into the holiday season. Amazon and some of these warehouses are going to be hiring again. Oh, and speaking of warehouses, Prologis.
Oh.
What was the deal with Prologis? I haven't been...
What I heard was that Gutierrez and Baca were texting furiously during the comments on that. And then supposedly they called a break before the vote. And then Ito comes into City Hall and he's overheard telling them that they need to suspend the vote. And I guess the city attorney or someone told them they can't just suspend it indefinitely, they have to set a date. And so I think it's sometime in October they're going to have the vote.
And what's the vote on in general? Is it
to modify the Prologis, the buffer zone between the houses?
The houses and the warehouse itself.
Yeah, I don't think that's cool to begin with, but then you've got Ito mixed up, and so
right. Why is Ito getting involved in Prologis' business?
Well, it's his rival.
Well, it's his rival, and I know he owns the city, but
that's exactly what it's about. He's bought off. He owns Gutierrez, and he's going to make sure that Gutierrez
does his bidding.
Does his bidding and keeps his rival from their project.
Having a foothold in the city or some influence in the city. Because if you think about it, if you're a candidate getting ready to run, I would damn sure send a representative out to Prologis to see if they would want to sponsor my candidacy to counter this Ito guy. One thing about Prologis is they didn't put 2 cents into our elections during the time they were trying
still
to.
Not a great place for the. Still not a great place for the project, but
Right.
they're not trying to screw the city over in the process.
Right, and I think that's a big plus. Also in the news in Ontario, I believe another airline has come into the Ontario airport, and I believe it's going to be a international. They said within a year or two we should have some international flights flying directly out of Ontario airport.
Cool.
So that'll be great. Airfest in San Bernardino, the old Norton Air Force Base, San Bernardino International Airport. There's going to be Airfest coming up. You guys be aware of that. That's going to be happening. A little air show that's going to be happening over there. If you get a chance to go over there and check it out, see some nice airplanes, civilian airplanes. It's not a Air Force show, but it is a nice thing. Also, real quick, a new base commander over at March Air Reserve Base. This guy was a former helicopter guy. Don't know him. But he's 135 qualified and I believe C-17 qualified. Not a lot of hours because he was mainly a rotor head. We call them rotor heads in the military. But he's the new base commander, and General Muncie has moved over to 4th Air Force, and I think that's great. Speaking of an Air Force person, we have one running for Congress. Have you heard Aja Smith? I'm going to put the link up. She's going to have I believe a fundraiser or a meet and greet coming up. And we'll put the link here on the page for you guys that want to attend. Of course, money is always going to be an issue when it comes to candidates. And check out Miss Smith. I think she's going to be an excellent candidate. We need somebody on the federal level.
Yeah.
What have you heard?
I donated $30 to her campaign when I could. Haven't really been able to donate much more lately because
yeah, it's summertime. You got a lot of stuff going, catching up.
yeah, well, I need new tires on my car.
Yeah, you need to actually record.
I mean, that's just the way things are in this town.
Yeah,
where,
yeah,
like,
unfortunately.
everyone in this town is strapped for cash,
Right.
and so
Paycheck to
30.
paycheck.
I was able to give $30. If you can give it in cash, that's even better.
Even better because they can't be traced now. No.
No, because then there's no electronic transfer fees or anything.
Right, that's true. That's true. And
But just any little thing that you can give her will help because she's been in this city a long time and knows how it works and knows what it needs.
And I think we need an ally on the federal level. I honestly believe that. And before we go real quick, we already talked about the nonprofits in Houston. Was that on the other podcast or was it on this podcast?
That was on the other one.
Okay, well, let's talk about the nonprofits that was happening in Houston and the devastation down in Houston and Miami.
Yes. The Daily Caller and USA Today are reporting that 80% of the relief efforts are being done by non-profit organizations and not FEMA.
Not FEMA.
And at 75% of those 80%, which works out to 60% of the whole thing, is being done by Christian charities. I mean, there's like some Buddhist and some Hindu ones and stuff too, and some completely secular ones. But most of it's through Christian organizations, especially Samaritan's Purse does a great job of providing supplies, like getting just food and toiletries and stuff from just random donors and getting it to people that need it all over the world. And then you've got a Seventh-day Adventist group. I don't know their exact name, but they they are great at logistics. They're great at being able to work out deals, finding facilities to move all these supplies through to wherever they need it in the country, and in some cases internationally. They've got there's a Methodist organization that also provides people, and they also provide crisis counselors, cleanup people, and they even have case managers to help people hit hard by the disaster to navigate the FEMA bureaucracy. And what's cool about this is that even all this stuff is completely free to the state. It still counts towards FEMA matching funds. So
Okay.
it's
So they're doubling.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's so it's basically like twice the money, or even 10% more money in some cases than they would have had if they had to use contractors or other government services.
Well, I can say since Katrina, the government has gotten their stuff together in regards to emergency response, and it's a lot better I'm glad that a lot of these nonprofits and charities are stepping up a little bit more, and the Christian denominations that are doing that, because if you really think about it, Houston has been devastated. That whole Gulf Coast Panhandle area has been devastated. My brother's a hurricane hunter, so when this was happening, he was telling me before it even happened what was going to happen. And of course, I'm listening to him because he's a hurricane hunter himself, and he was telling me that it was going to be pretty bad.
Is he on the aircraft?
Yeah. Well, he's a jet engine mechanic. But did you see the video I put up with that lady loadmaster? She was explaining, the flight. It was on one of the pages I put up.
No, I'm familiar with how the Hurricane Hunter aircraft worked, but I didn't see that exact video.
Yeah. Well, they were just interviewing her and stuff like that, and how she's a drop zone operator, but heard she can sing her ass off too. But that's a very interesting job, and they use a C-130, which is my primary aircraft, to go through it. And I've never done it. I wouldn't want to do it, but with all that's happening, how you cannot believe in global warming, or there's something going on in the earth to where these things are coming at superstorm levels. I mean, we've got to really think about.
Well, it's part of a.
I saw your cartoon clip you put up on that with the global warming and how it brings more tax money and more research money.
Basically, there are some people that are going to say it's global warming no matter what happens, even if it's like a really bad blizzard.
Right.
Or even a pattern of really bad blizzards. But the hurricanes tend to work on roughly a 20-year cycle. And this year there were some weather systems that were kind of farther north and west that allowed the really big hurricanes to come up into the Gulf Coast in Florida. And it was pretty bad 19 years ago, and then it was pretty bad in 92. So they tend to come in waves. It's not like
cycles.
It's not like there's going to be bad hurricanes all the time every hurricane season.
Right. Yeah, because there hasn't been a hurricane that hit the United States in 12 years since.
Well, he's not a significant one. I mean,
right?
there's Category 1 and 2 stuff that comes every year, but nothing that really causes a lot of damage.
So, and I have family down there, so I really do keep a good gist on that. But doesn't it make you really think about how great California is? Other than a drought, we don't really have too many problems. So, Belle, stop being bad. Stop this bad dog. So outside of that, there was another thing I wanted to ask you in regards to the local, our Senator Kamala Harris. In regards to Kamala Harris, they are saying that the corporate Democrats are saying that Democrats are saying that Kamala Harris is a possible contender to President Pence's renomination. And I say President Pence because I don't think Don's going to make it.
I've heard that, and
stick. I just don't think Trump's going to make it.
I think the Democrats are just looking to find a black woman for the sake of finding a black woman.
Well, what it is they want to do the Hillary thing
with a black woman.
With the black woman to garner more minority votes, and there'll be a black, the Obama thing. And if you're anything like me, since Obama didn't do jack for black people, I wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris.
Harris is your classic limousine liberal. She's been living well off in San Francisco for a long time, and she's been completely removed from average everyday people.
Well, to me, like I said, she's been. I'm not downing the lady. She's whatever. I don't know what her accomplishments are. She came to Mar a Loma and sued the developers down there with the health problems down there. But once they tagged her to be a senator, she's just been doing the Democratic hokey pokey in what they say. And if the Democrats put their money on this chick to run against whoever the Republican nominee, President Pence, is, they're going to lose. And I think they're going to lose big time because that's going to be the Hillary effect.
Yeah, I think...
because you're pandering, and people don't like to be pandered to.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't really... I'm not aware of her...
legislative accomplishments.
Legislative accomplishments, or even as Attorney General, even her being particularly involved in the black community.
Thank you. My point has been made. So we got to think about that. Dianne Feinstein, they say that she might run again for her seat. I think that old bitch needs to take her 80-something-year-old ass and go sit down. She already got the $3 billion high-speed rail contract for her husband. How much more money do you need to steal, Miss Feinstein?
I don't know. And I don't know what's up with Pelosi either. I mean, she's
Oh my
clearly got
God.
dementia, but she just still keeps on thinking that she's going to keep her seat.
Because as a corporate dummycrat, she raises a lot of money. And that's her whole claim to fame. She doesn't want to do single payer. She said that she's going to fight to keep the ACA, which we know. Why would you want to keep something that isn't working for... Everybody acknowledges it doesn't work.
Yeah.
In certain scenarios, for most people, there's things that need to be fixed about it, but we're going to stay with that.
Yeah, but I've heard arguments that the problem is that rich people aren't paying it, but the problem with that is that why is the government mandating you buy something in the first place?
Well, it's just like, wouldn't that be the same as auto insurance?
Yeah, but at least with auto insurance, you have a choice not to put a car on the road.
Good point. I didn't think about that. That was a good comeback there. That's true. But if I don't put a car on the road, how do I get to work?
You can walk.
Right.
You can get a bike. You can walk. You don't necessarily. I know you're trying to get me to say use the bus or the train, but those aren't necessarily.
Yeah,
you don't
not in
have to do
California.
that either.
Yeah, not in California. And speaking of which, the mayor's town hall. I don't know why this guy does not want to meet with his constituents, because that was the whole point of having a mayor, so he represents everybody, which we know he does not. The most uninformed people were allowed to ask questions, and they were the same questions. Oh, my roads are really bad. Your roads are always going to be bad. That's all of the United States, because nobody's paying taxes. The corporations are not paying their taxes.
There's lots of road taxes. They're just getting
Diverting
stuff
yeah.
into the general fund.
Right, in the general fund and things like that. But this one idiot called in, and she said that her son can't get to work at the warehouse because there's not enough bus lines that go out there. That's not a city issue. That's a bus line issue. You need to go to the bus company and complain to them.
I used to use the RTA, and I agree that the city is underserved, and the city
Sure.
council has not done anything about it. Even 20 years ago when I did that, it was so bad then.
Right,
it's
but
bad now.
But I don't see people rushing to get your one son lady isn't a priority. If there was a lot of people complaining, I need to get to the warehouse, I can see your point. But
Well, the city just needs better bus lines in general.
to go where?
Just to do errands. I mean, if you don't have a car, I mean, when you don't have a car, it really becomes a really big pain to get anywhere.
True, but we spend money on making bike lanes and advertising for the WLC, and
We don't
spend
need
all this money.
don't necessarily need sidewalks. You don't necessarily need the bike lanes. You can ride a bike on dirt. You can
True,
ride a bike on the side of the street like most people do.
true,
In other cities.
true. It's just sad how, like I said, I agree with you. We need to be
But
served.
unfortunately,
to the
there's
areas.
not a whole lot of highly educated people left in this city to ask questions.
No, exactly. And you bring up a good point. White flight is continuing to happen. I am seeing more and more houses on the east side going up for sale and that are being vacant. And they are being vacant because people have abandoned this city because we are out of ideas and we are out of leadership. And I don't know if in this next election round, if this idiot and that piece of shit, Evan Morgan, win re-election, this city's done. I mean, we're already there, and I just don't want to accept it because I'm not a quitter. But I'm telling you, it's not with the people that we have in charge. It's not going to get any better, and that's where we're going to be at. And you've been here a long time, and you've seen the good days, and it's been nothing but bad days since. So we really got to do something about that. And I believe also at the base, the veterans campus is going to be opening up in a couple months. I think in November.
Cool.
So we're going to check that out and bring some
They
pictures
got
of
that
that.
done fairly fast.
Yeah, it's fairly fast. I heard it looks really great, and they're bringing another thing to the base. I forgot what it is, but I'll put the link up and when I remember what it is. But there's a lot of good stuff going on over at that base, and we need to really get an Aja Smith into Congress to advocate to reopen that base or to bring more assets to the base to keep it viable and pump more money into the local economy like we did back in the old days.
A couple of years ago, I was talking to an engineer, and they said that the base needs to stay open, if nothing else, for disaster relief, because it's the only runway in the region that's not prone to liquefaction.
Yes, absolutely. It's I don't know. I've been here a long time. I remember when there was B-52s over there. So when you have B-52s, you need a long runway, and I believe March is the second longest runway on the West Coast, or the first. It's one or two.
Yeah, it's a pretty big runway. If you can handle B-52s, you can handle pretty much anything else in the Western Hemisphere or Europe.
Right, exactly.
Well, except some of those crazy Russian Antonov.
Right. Well, yeah.
Those 8-engine things.
Yeah, the 8-engine ones. And speaking of what's going on in the world, North Korea is still a threat, and nobody's really talking about that. How do you think Mr. Trump's going to handle that?
I think something's going to have to be done with the fat paste eater kids sooner or later.
Right, because I believe today another missile was fired over Japan.
Yeah, they fired another one over Japan. One of these days, Kim Jong-un is just going to do something that is going to spark a reaction.
Well, what I don't understand is in our intel, our CIA, and things like that, we give these guys millions and trillions of dollars now, and they keep failing. Go over there and shoot the guy. Poison the guy. Do something.
Funny thing is, this didn't make a whole lot of news, but in the last 4th of July, the North Koreans did a big missile test. Like was I think their first successful ICBM. And Kim Jong-un was there, and the CIA figured it out. He was there, and part of the reason why he's kept such a low profile is because we sent them a video where we had a drone hovering over his head and had him in the cross sights.
Right on. Now that would be worth some of the money that we keep giving these guys to waste. Your good buddy General Michael Flynn is once again did not disclose money dealing with Russia and power plants and stuff like that. Here's a 4-star general to me that has basically shown that he has traitorous inclinations. He was head of our intel. I mean, you can't tell me this guy did not know, as the head of the intel in the military, what he's not supposed to do and what he's supposed to do in dealing with the Russians. And this guy, things just keep coming up and up and up. And I just think this Russia thing's just not going away.
Well, with the exception of Michael Flynn, it doesn't seem to be panning out much.
Yeah, outside of that. But other than obstruction of justice, yeah, Trump's going to be gone based on that. I've always said that. He's obstructed justice. There's no doubt about that. But in regards to...
Well, if he stopped short of ordering it and... I think Trump walked a very fine line. He suggested to make it go away, but he did not order it or make it impossible. And
well, when he fired the Comey, he said on the NBC interview it was because of the Russian investigation why he fired him. That's cut and dry.
Well, first, Comey's been a political football.
Of course, absolutely.
First, the Democrats loved him for clearing Hillary. Then they hated him for
not clearing Hillary.
The letter. Then they loved him for supposedly being willing to investigate Trump for the Russia thing. Now
everybody hates him.
Yeah, now everyone hates him because they're not quite sure what he's going to say when he goes to testify.
Right.
And the whole Russia investigation hasn't been partial from the beginning.
No, but Trump sending the guy that recused himself, the congressman that was on Trump's transition team, he subpoenaed. I mean, it's just cut and dry. I mean, at the least, it's going to be obstruction of justice. At the least. But this other stuff, I don't know. Like I said, most of the stuff won't pan out, but obstruction of justice will pan out. So, because he did admit that is why he fired him. One of the reasons he fired him because he was investigating the Russian thing, and I think there's money laundering involved as well, Russian money laundering. So I could be wrong, but I doubt it. But we'll see. And last but not least, have you seen Victoria Baca?
Nope.
Haven't seen her. And what about the clown Louise Palomares?
Someone said they spotted her at Target a few days ago, and I just mentioned that, I don't know, what was a security team following her?
Yeah, there you go. She will vandalize neighborhoods. Hey, this has been the Hot Seat Radio Show. Sean Fortine, Donovan Sadiq. We've been away a little bit, but we're going to get back on that. It's end of summer, you guys. I love the weather now. This is the greatest time to be in Moreno Valley. Other than that, this is all we have for this week. Sean, you got anything else going?
Nope. Maybe something more interesting for next week, but I've had a lot else going on this week.
All right. We'll see you guys again next week.
Later.